welcome to the History of Aviation Podcast, episode number 73. I'm Derrick Miller, and we have a great one for you today, so we're going to dive right in. First off, I'm joined by three great guys here, starting out with our producer and co-host, Shae Jones. How you doing, Jay?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Just been hanging out, waiting to get back in the flow of things here. I'm super excited. We got a bunch of stuff coming up over the next few months.
Definitely. We got an exciting announcement too, but before we get into that, Julien Martinson, how you doing, bud? It's been a minute.
Hey, good. How are you doing? I'm
Great.
located in Kelowna, and just on a little side note, I've been working on a career coach certification, and I'm pleased to announce that I'm coaching a client in Mississauga, and she wants to get into aviation management, which is my area. So I'm really pleased about this opportunity.
Nice.
Good deal, man. You really got it rolling over there with that. And introducing now some folks that are on our TikTok and on our YouTube and Facebook, etc., has seen Will. We went and played a round of golf and played around with that and had some fun. But our newest co-host, Mr. Will Diene, how's it going, Will?
Man, it's going awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm proud to be here. This is really, really awesome. And I do want to just say a quick apology to anybody who watched my golf swing because I don't know what I'm doing.
It was pretty decent. It was pretty decent. I mean, he was playing better than I was. That's for sure. So, Will, let all of our listeners know about you, man. What's in your mind? What's going on with you with aviation?
Awesome, man. Let's talk about it. So, first and foremost, thank you guys for the invitation to be here. Thank you to the listeners that are inviting me on. I'm really, really, really happy to be here and be a part of this. I want to just give myself a brief introduction. I live here in East Tennessee, nearby to you, Derrick. I've been a fan of aviation since, I had to have been this big. So just to give you a little bit of background about me and why I love this so much. To be brief, my parents, they met in an airport in Brazil. I've been surrounded by it my whole life. My father was always in the airports. He worked for the TSA. My mom worked for airlines. So I've been in and out of airports. I used to fly reserve all the time. It's been excellent. I can remember back from being just a little kid. Bush was president. I was in an airport standing behind Air Force One in the glass, and I've got a picture somewhere of me standing there. And I think about that moment all the time. Not that I can really remember it, but I know the picture. And it's one of those things for me where I fell in love with it at an early age. I'm not a pilot myself. I'd love to pursue that very soon, but everything about this, everything about aviation, flying, airplanes in general, avionics, anything there is to do about it, airports, airliners, military aircraft, I don't care. I'm in. If it flies, I'm interested. Derrick, you and I, we've met, see airplanes fly overhead. I'm breaking my neck staring up at them.
Yep.
There's nothing in my life that I'm more passionate about and more just enthusiastic about than flying in aviation as is. There's just that something in me. I don't know what it is. I love it. And I take it you to do the same.
Yeah, it's that passion. And I remember the day that, me personally, is I was in Dayton, Ohio at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, and turning the corner and seeing the Memphis Belle and it was emotional.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times. It is emotional. When I look up and when I got to see the Blue Angels for the first time, it was emotional. Tears. That emotional.
That's how you know it's a burning passion within you that you just can't avoid. And it's something that I think a lot of people are interested in and a lot of people would like to know more about, which is why I'm here. I'm here to learn. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything there is to know about everything. And I'm here to learn. I love the idea of talking about it. I've got three great friends in front of me that are, going to communicate with me and have a passionate conversation about airplanes. And to me, there's nothing better.
No, it's not, and it's interesting how Shae, when I recruited Shae to come on the podcast, honestly, Shae, you were not an aviation enthusiast per se.
No, I liked it. I've always loved the Microsoft Aviation, the flight simulation game. I've always loved that. But never, and I love flying too. I think that's where it really starts. I love to travel. I love flying, and I live for it. My parents are like the opposite. They're like, if they could be home with a good book or whatever, that's great. I'm like, for me, it's like, okay, flight's delayed for 4 hours. What am I gonna do now? And you just gotta find something to do, or your flight has changed and you're now booking it down the hallway with security guards screaming, "Don't run!" And you're just like, whatever with you, dude. I'm gonna be running or miss the plane. That's the adventure that I seek with flight and aviation and all that. So yeah, that's all. And side note, aside from that, your parents met in a Brazilian airport. My wife and I met in a Brazilian airport. So,
Really?
Look at that.
Yeah,
Where was it?
I almost chimed in. I was like, "Are you my son from the future or something?" Because that's
Hey,
crazy.
that'd be cool.
Right?
So
what airport did you guys, or did they meet in?
it was Guarulhos. It was São Paulo International Airport.
Shut up, man. That's the same one that my parents.
No way.
I'm not even.
That is
I'm not
really,
even
really
kidding.
wicked.
I'm lying. I'm dying. She worked at the airport that we flew through. So we would always go to different places like Paraguay or whatever. And then on the way back, we were like, well, you know what? Let's plan another trip where it's just us hanging out. And we went to Rio de Janeiro for the New Year. And on the way back, we ran into her. My friend is in a wheelchair, so he needed help getting through all the hoopla. And she helped us through. But in the morning, I was like, oh, she's really pretty. You got to be my wingman. And then I was like, what am I going to really do? I'm not that kind of a person. So it was a joke. And then we got there, and when she's like, hey, what's your guy's information? He's like, nah, just him. So he actually did it. And then fast forward 5 years, she's now in my house and we're married. So
wow.
awesome.
Is she Brazilian?
Yeah, she is. She's from Sao Paulo.
That's awesome. That's all my family's from Sao Paulo. I was born here in the States, but that's really,
awesome.
really cool.
Are
my
one
mom
of your
at the
parents
time,
from Brazil or no?
Yeah, both are.
They're
Both are from
both,
Brazil.
They just happen to meet. That's amazing.
Yeah. Dad's American family. My grandfather had moved to Brazil post-war and had his kids there. And my dad grew up there, moved to the States, moved back to Brazil, and they met. My mom was working for it's an airline. I believe they're not around anymore, but it's called Vidique Airlines.
Yeah.
Vidique, I think is how it's pronounced, at least in Portuguese. And that's how they met. I don't know the full story of what happened, how they bumped into one another. I believe my dad was working for the TSA, not for an airline at the time. But
that's cool.
I mean, when I think about that,
they're from Brazil, so they both speak Portuguese. Do you speak Portuguese?
Do. I do.
That's amazing. Well, for you and both your parents and you're gonna have to tell them that I said, "Oi, como você está?"
Yeah, sim, claro que eu. Oi, tudo bem.
Very cool. You just leave everybody else in the dust. Yeah, we're just gonna carry on. You guys.
Yeah, we're gonna start a new podcast in Portuguese, guys. We'll see you on the flip side.
Yep.
No, but that's so cool, man, and that's
cool.
That's awesome to hear that about you and your wife. And I think about that story all the time about how my parents met in that airport. And when it boils down to it, the brass taxes, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them meeting in an airport.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm surrounded by it. This is my life. I'm only here because of flying, and that makes me just
that is
inside.
Awesome. If aviation didn't exist, you would not be here.
Right.
And
I love it.
We're so glad it does. And that's like what I was saying, like with Shae, it was, I needed Shae to help produce this podcast because I came from AM radio and podcasting I was not familiar with. So I needed Shae's help. And it was so funny because after the first episode Shae produced, which was tremendously better than any other episode we'd ever did at the time, he calls me 3 or 4 days later and he's like, dude, there's a float plane over my house. Like instantly, just through being the tech guy and the guy that helps out with the podcast, he has then became quite the enthusiast. And Shae's favorite plane, what is it? The Islands. The conversion, the seaplane.
Yeah, the Ion A5. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Quick sidebar,
Yeah.
Give me a, I know this is a difficult question to ask, a really difficult question to answer, but it doesn't have to be your number one favorite plane in the world, but just shoot it off for me. Give me an airliner, give me a military jet, and give me a general aviation aircraft. Top 3.
Yeah. So for me right now, it's the Icon, and I'm going to see if I can make that my video here in just a second, just so you can see it. but yeah, and I think before I actually started doing this and actually getting into this podcast and more so into the aviation world, I probably would say my fixation would have been on the really, really big aircraft like Antonov and the C-17 and the military and all that stuff. Only just because it's just like, holy crap, how are you flying? I don't understand. And then of course the big guy there that Derrick loves, the guy who made that, the really ginormous plane.
The Spruce Goose.
That's it.
The
Thank you.
Spruce Goose. Yeah, the old Hercules.
That thing's ridiculous. So yeah, so that's amazing. Yeah, so that's right now for me, it's the Icon A5, and mostly because it's the versatility of it. The versatility of it's amazing. You could just be flying it, and all of a sudden you land it in the water, and then you like, oh, there's a landing over there. So you hit a button and the wheels come down, and you just crank up the throttle and just out of the thing you go, and then now you're on a makeshift tarmac. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So I'm trying to actually see if I can.
So we're doing what are we doing? Will top 3?
Yeah, I don't know. It came right to my mind. I'm just curious.
Airliner. Let's see.
Airliner. Give me a top
military.
3. It doesn't need to be, super strict. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't think
that not awesome. So that's what I'm talking about right there. This guy.
There was actually one of those at the Splash In. Remember, Shae? It took off in the background of one of our videos.
Yep,
that is
exactly.
Awesome.
You literally these wheels go back up into the body, and then as you're floating, you have them come down, and then just gun the throttle real fast so it can get up over the knoll. But yeah, that's awesome.
That is really cool. I don't think I was familiar with that. I'm gonna have to look into it.
So,
but yeah, Derrick, I just, it was just a quick thought. Give me an airliner that you like. Give me a military plane that you like. Give me a GA aircraft that you like.
Mine are going to be unique because you know what my GA is. My GA is going to be the Cessna 172, what I learned to fly on. My military, and I have a reason for saying that it's the KC 135 because, as you know, we get the privilege to look at those a lot.
All day long. Love it.
My airliner is going to be old school Delta MD-88.
Okay.
The Mad Dog.
Julien, I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Well, I was fascinated by a flight that I took from Vancouver to Mexico City, and I was still in high school, so it was many, many, many moons ago, and it was the Queen of the Sky, the 747, and it was a very big aircraft with the stairs going up and the double-decker. And I remember I was traveling with my mom, and as soon as the doors closed, I asked my mom, I really want to go into the cockpit. And so she called the flight attendant, and she came and says, well, my son has a request. He would like to go up to the cockpit. And so the steward says, okay, well, let me ask the captain, because in those days, cockpit visits were still allowed. And so during the flight, we were granted access, and off we went up the stairs. And the door of the cockpit went open, and I saw the inside of the cockpit of the 747. And I was just mesmerized by all those buttons and gauges, and it was just a whole new world that opened up for me. And my mom, she asked the captain, says, well, my son has a question for you. And he says, well, what's that? He says, my son would like to know how you fly an airplane. And so the captain, he looked at me and he says, well, do you have a Batmobile at home? And I says, well, yes, I do. And he says, well, this is no different. You just push the button and the machine goes up in the air. And my mom looked at me and with a chuckle and says, yeah, but son, you don't believe a word that he says, because you cannot compare a $30 toy with a $300 million machine. It's not that simple. These guys go to school for many, many, many years in order to fly an airplane. So don't believe it's that simple. And so that started my quest and my passion for aviation. It was on that flight, and I was like, I have now a thirst for knowledge. So it's not just passion, but I have a thirst for knowledge to acquire more knowledge of aviation. And so as the years went on, I quenched that thirst by enrolling in aviation management academics. So Georgian College offered a program, and they had their booth at the Aviation Expo in Mississauga. And years later, I went to the expo, and I still remember this day as if it was yesterday. And there were two aircraft sitting there, the Q400, and there was another airplane. And I got goosebumps just walking into this hangar, and I'm still getting them now as I tell this story. And I just knew that this was the place for me. And so there was lots of aviation um, companies, airlines represented. It was Georgian College. And I was like, I am going to go ask them for a brochure. So I went to them and I said, so what's it all about? Well, it's aviation management. It's the business management program for business. So it's to become managers at airports and airlines. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be an aviation manager. And so I enrolled in the program, and it was 1 year. And we studied everything about airline operations, airport operations, human factors, um, aviation law, cargo handling, all those types of courses. And I acquired a lot of knowledge. And then the opportunity came to continue my studies to the next level at the master's level. So I enrolled in the master's program of aviation management at Griffith University. I started the certificate, and then I wanted more knowledge. So I completed the master's in aviation management and finally did my thesis on global pilot supply and demand. Why does Canada have a pilot shortage? And what is the solution to not only attracting talent, training talent, but retaining that talent in Canada or the United States, for an example, and maintaining our workforce and growing our workforce so that we can maintain our competitive advantage. And so once I figured out the solution, I was like, now I have to apply that solution and inspire other people to take on aviation roles. And so for this reason, I'm pursuing my designation as an aviation career coach or as a career coach certification with the intention to specialize as an aviation career coach.
That's awesome. And and something that I've always said, and I'll say this because we're kind of doing this podcast is a little different. We're introducing Will and we're talking about our passion for aviation, and Julian's drive and Julian's passion has always fueled me when I'm at that point of saying, okay, this darn podcast, Julian's always the one that gets on the phone with me. He's like, okay, buddy, here's how it is. So it's not that I don't have the passion for aviation. Doing a podcast is not the easiest thing in the world to maintain. So the discouragement would come with that, and Julian was always there to push me to the next level. And just basically the same thing, aviation career coach, only this time he was a podcast hobbyist coach. So Julian's always had that ability. And Julian came onto this podcast as a guest to talk about his book.
Yeah, he was a guest. Yeah, we liked him so much we kept him.
Yeah, here he is.
Well, that's awesome.
Please
That's
said
awesome.
You're
That's
stuck
really
with
cool.
us.
Hey, you're ours now, Julian. That's kind of what happened here. Derrick and I met on accident. I believe I was telling you guys that in the first call that we had, but I was walking around the place where we work, and I found just a cup sitting on the ground, and it had all kinds of just airplane stickers on it, all aviation sticker on it, this, that, and I'm going, whose is this? Whose
Save
is
the
this?
warbirds.
Yeah, somebody else here is just as much of a nerd as I am, and I want to meet this guy.
Guilty.
So, so that was really, really cool. And to what you were saying earlier about Julien and his passion and being able to inspire you and maintain that inspiration for the podcast. Julien, I'd like to say a thank you from the very first time that you and I spoke. You can hear it in your voice. I can
Oh,
hear it in
thank
your
you.
voice.
Thank
You
you. Thank you.
have you've got something, whether it be just solely about the coaching or just the passion that you have within you about this topic or about these topics. There's something that's motivating in there, and I appreciate it. That's helped me to want to get on here and get in front of this camera. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. I couldn't tell you last time I owned a webcam. I ordered this one a couple days ago. So this was really, really cool. I'm very, very proud. I know I've said that already, but I'm proud to be here and I'm proud to be in front of you three because, you know, Derrick, you're a pilot. Shae, you're a growing enthusiast. And Julien, you've got that expertise, that know how. And what I'm bringing to the table, I don't know. But I'm happy to be here in front of you three because I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. I'm excited to meet the guests that we're going to have on board. And this is going to be really something special.
It's
It absolutely
actually
isn't.
really, really cool too, because my wife actually has friends that are pilots in Brazil. And we were always like, well, how are we going to, like, if you want to interview them, how are you going to get that done? It's like, well, now we have a way to do it.
Well, yeah. We probably could. Yeah. So my Portuguese, I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not perfect. I can communicate just fine with my family, but I'm not holding a professional
1,000% better than
conversation.
mine. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
So I'm not holding a professional conversation with the president of Brazil. I'll tell you that. But you know, I can get around. I can ask some questions. That'd be great. Let's have them on.
You're going to be able to get to where you want to go. You can do whatever you want to do with your Portuguese. I'm like Chris Farley, where he's like, remember when that time? Remember when?
That's awesome. And you know, it's not about the technical know-how. It's just about the passion. Let's get these pilots on board. Let's talk about them. I don't speak any other languages, a little bit here and there, but just get pilots all around the world. We'll put a translator on the podcast.
Yeah, right on.
That would absolutely work.
Well, awesome. Julien, I want to hear a little bit more. Have you ever, and are you pursuing anything about being a pilot yourself?
Well, when I was younger, my mom took me to flight school, and I was interested in learning how to fly, but I never pursued it simply because of the financial costs that were barriers for us at the time. And for those that want to pursue careers as pilots, the industry has changed a lot, and pilots are in short demand. And a lot of the pilots that are coming through and getting trained in Canada and in the United States may not stay in the States or in Canada and may pursue careers in the Middle East or in China. And so young people are being drawn away from North America to overseas for more competitive wages or work balance lifestyles. And so traditionally, airlines in North America, for an example, Air Canada or other airlines, have drawn on a pilot workforce that are financially secure and with families and a house and financial stability. And so they don't have that desire or flexibility to get up and go and pursue a career overseas. But the new generation coming in, they do have that option. They are not screwed in the ground. They're not settled. They don't have relationships or children, and so they have this uh, mobility that is a little bit dangerous for the industry. And so the risk is that we may not be able to retain the talent that we have. And the bigger airlines won't have problems because they'll always be prestigious. The airlines that are going to struggle the most are the ones that are in the middle tier. So the pilots coming in, and as soon as they get to the middle tier airlines, then they have options to go overseas. And it's this sector of the airline industry that would struggle. And in Canada, a few years ago, we had a Sunwing had to cancel all their southern flights out of Saskatchewan, not because of bad weather or because they couldn't sell the seats, but because they couldn't get any pilots to fly the airplanes. And this was pretty sad, but to think about it. Um, and so this is how the pilot workforce has really changed a lot. And there's a lot of opportunities for women also in this industry. Keep in mind that pilots is there is a gender imbalance in the cockpit. So 94% of pilots are male and only 6% are female. And so the industry has really made a lot of progress over the years to acknowledge and celebrate the accomplishment of women in aviation, not only as pilots, but also as supporters in air traffic control, in policymakers, and in those that finance aviation.
Sure.
And at this time, I also would like to give credit to people like my aunt who also supported me in my studies to pursue my master's in aviation. And if it wasn't for strong women like my aunt who supported my studies, I would not have been able to finish my master's in aviation management. And so it's not just the people that fly the airplanes, but it's also those people that support those who are pursuing those careers. Um, and so over the years, other airlines have taken on the responsibility of training pilots. I believe that Emirates has their own pilot training program and strongly encourages gender equality in the cockpit. And so you'll see a lot of marketing for female pilots, and you see them doing their pre-flight inspection and traveling the world and shopping and trying on lipstick and nice dresses in Singapore and Paris and all these things. So they try to appeal that career to females as well.
Sure.
And I strongly support that as well. If somebody has a drive to pursue their dream and to commit to their goals, whether big or small, I want to give them my full support. And through a coaching program, they're able to meet that career objective and overcome those barriers that they have to achieve their personal career goals. There are lots of role models for aviation. Um, so that their industries are full of positive role models and of both male and female, as well as people from Aboriginal First Nation origins, as well as Afro American origins or minorities, visible minorities, that have overcome the odds and pursued excellence in aviation in all careers across the aviation industry sector.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, and as we kind of come into a close here, I want to let everybody know too, we're talking about our passion for aviation. So if you're listening to this episode and you obviously you have the same passion that we do, so leave that in the comment section. Tell us how your passion started in aviation, and we may talk about it on a future show.
Absolutely. Now,
Cool.
before we do close up, I wanted to make a quick comment. You mentioned that was it 6% of pilots are female? Now, out of curiosity, is that a global stat? Is that in North America or is that Canada?
That's an international standard.
That
Yeah,
is
so pretty much the same across all continents. It
that's
might
pretty.
vary slightly. Uh,
I did
yeah,
not realize that.
Yeah, that
yeah,
that seems astonishingly
Yeah.
low.
yeah.
And to what you said, Julian, as- if you've got the passion for it and you've got that drive to succeed in that market, especially being able to target young, talented women that want to pursue that passion of aviation, whether it be in the pilot field or whether it be in the support field. Uh, I think that'd be an excellent topic for us to talk about here soon. If y'all, the listener, would like to hear more about it, let's hear it. And I want to talk about it. And to Derrick, what you said, please leave a comment. I want to know what your three favorite airplanes are, and I want to know
Exactly.
why you love this. I want to know why you love this, and do we share the same opinion? Because I can't wait to start having conversations with our listeners. I can't wait to start asking these questions and hearing the answers from all over the world. Shae, before I don't know if we're coming to a close or not, but Shae, before we go, have you ever pursued being a pilot yourself?
Not officially. I've thought about it. It's definitely a lot more expensive than it was when Derrick did it. But
All right, now we're revealing my age now.
yeah, you know. Well, I'm not too far behind you there, but it's
I can
back
tell
during
you,
the 10 Commandment days. No, it's
I can tell you in 64. Oh, wait a minute, 94.
yeah.
In,
Yeah, right.
in 1994, it was substantially cheaper and it was way more doable. And then we're talking about a private pilot's license here. I'm by no
Right.
means
Right.
a
Right.
commercial pilot, but yeah, it
Derrick's
was.
from a time when they still use score in the year.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in
So
a
how are the
time.
Wright brothers, Derrick?
Howard Hughes was my instructor. So
I
yeah,
love this.
so yeah,
This is great.
in 1994 it was, and you got to think too, me and another colleague at work was having discussion about this actually today, that the amount of money that I put into it in 1994 at that time was a pretty good chunk of money.
Yeah.
And
For that time.
you think about it, it's even going back to 1994. Uh, you know,
Mhm.
the money goes up as you go. $1 million in 1964, man, you were loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were Elon
And
Musk.
yeah, and so 1994, I got my private pilot's license. I actually had my private pilot's license before I ever had a driver's license.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, and it was so funny because Dad said when we went to the driver's license place to get my driver's license, Dad's just like, walk in there and show them your pilot's license. They should they should just check you out on a car, right?
Derrick, you need to be telling everybody that. That's awesome.
And
I don't know anybody who has their pilot's license before they're driving. That is
what is so funny about that is I know several people that had their
Sure.
pilot's
Right.
license before their driver's license. Yeah, and
It's like
that's
he was
what's
that
funny.
guy that was it was like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber when he's like trying to go somewhere and he's like, it's okay, I'm a limo driver, but he's like, no, it's okay, I'm a pilot.
Yeah, just give me my driver's license. But the one thing that for me that I laugh about constantly just in my head, because my head is full of aviation, the airplane that I eventually want to own, all you need is a light sport to fly. So
Yeah.
I did.
I am right there with you, Derrick. I know exactly what you were going to say.
Yeah, the Piper Cub.
The Piper Cub, that J3
That's
Cub
it.
is, I mean, talk about something special. I think that's an airplane that has inspired millions of people. They've been produced since the 40s. They were used as spy planes in World War II. They were, actually, don't fact check me on that. I need to go back and do a little bit more research before I start talking on the podcast. But I think that airplane is incredibly inspirational. And Shae, you mentioned earlier Microsoft Flight Simulator, right?
Yeah.
So especially Microsoft Flight Simulator X, I mean, they feature that J3 Cub all over the place.
do.
And that, I mean, when you think about, to anybody who has played a flight simulator game, that is the airplane you kind of learn how to fly on.
Yeah.
Because it's slow, it takes off in no time, it lands in no time, very easy to fly, and iconic.
But
You get that yellow fabric and wooden.
Oh yeah.
Don't you love the simplicity of a Piper
Yeah.
Cub?
Oh, it's crazy.
It's the most simple thing on the planet.
I'll tell you, that is a lot of people have end goals, especially people my age and people in my career field. I'll let you know, I'm in the car business, and everybody's chasing after Lamborghinis, Porsches, McLarens, stuff like that. Not me. I want a $40,000 Cub. That's what I want. I just want to go flying out west. Take me out to Arizona. I want to go hopping around on some plateaus. I'd like to go fly a Cub or a Super Cub, some kind of tail dragger out in Alaska. That's cool to me. That is
load up the fishing gear and literally land on a riverbank, fish all day, camp all night, jump back in the Cub, power that tail up, and get out of there in a short takeoff.
Just you and the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I had a friend years ago whose dad had a water plane, and they had a camp up in Labrador, and they would go up there twice a year or 3 times a year, and their camp was only accessible through the plane unless you like hike to the woods, but you're not going to do that. So they would always literally just like land right in front of the camp, unload their gear, and just go camp for a week or two, and then all right, time to head home. There's no gas station, there's no nothing. You just get in the plane and go. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I like this plane right here.
And
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. The Islands is so similar to that because we recently went to the 1494 splashing on Douglas Lake, and there was a guy there that he's there every year. He has the Islands. He also comes to the fly in, and I mean, what a cool little unique plane. And if all the listeners, if you go back on our TikTok videos, when I talked to the Jet family back in June, we actually stopped the interview because a plane took off and it was actually the Islands taking off behind us on the water. So that made for a really cool video.
And they're so simple. Like if you ever like Google the inside of one, it's like very, very simplistic. It's like, this is your this thing, this is your this thing, this is this thing, this is your gear. And then
when you were showing off
just...
the pictures earlier, it looked like the inside of a Camry, you know?
Yeah. It's just like, seriously, it's just like, it comes with a cassette deck. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta think they came with 8-track players back when I got my license.
Back in the day, yeah. Yep.
So I had a record player on the dashboard. But anyways, a couple of things coming up, guys. That's really important. So the air show season is coming to a halt. So Greg Kuntz is ready to come on and join us and give us the annual.
Hey, there we go. Cool.
Yeah, the annual the annual air show year in review. That's a really tumble of words.
It is.
Greg Kuntz comes on with us about every November and gives us the rundown on what happened for the air show season. I know he's cut way back on what they're doing. They've retired some parts of the shows, but I heard from Greg just 2 days ago on text saying, "Hey, you guys ready to do the air show year in review?" We call it. So that was going to be coming up soon.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. That was one of the. It was only like 2 or 3 before that I joined.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
I think it was last year's air show year in review. Good Lord, say that 3 times fast.
That time.
Air show year in review.
Yeah.
There we go. But it was right at I think that was one of the first ones you produced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was with Greg Kuntz. Yeah. So that's always love having Greg on. He's always fun and has a lot to say. Sometimes it's a little negative, but that's the way of the world.
Negative or not, I'd rather have somebody speak their mind, especially if it's truth to power, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you think about Greg Kuntz, and man, I remember watching Greg Kuntz, and I don't know if you've ever seen him, Will, or not. You familiar with Greg Kuntz?
Horrible names. Be the first to tell you.
He's one of the oldest, and he's gonna kick my butt for saying this, but he's one of the oldest air show performers on circuit. He's 74 years old. He's still performing air shows.
Wow.
And pulling G's. They used to do landing the Piper Cub on top of the pickup truck act.
Yeah.
That's him. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, that's
exactly.
Greg Kuntz. Yeah. So they have retired that part of the show, and he's just doing the acrobatic stuff right now. But yeah, Greg comes on with us. This will be what, Shae, the 5th time? So every November after the air shows are over, we get with Greg and we do an air show year in review. And for all the listeners, you can go back and listen to those old air show year in reviews. But we got that coming up. We got some merchandise announcements coming up here real soon. We're not ready to do those in this particular episode, but next episode we will have some more merchandising. We're going to do some model airplanes and stuff like that. It's going to be really cool. I want to give a shout out to Julie, who is helping us with that and admin type stuff. What else?
Thank you, Julie. I want to mention something. So back to the Microsoft Flight Simulator X days.
Oh yeah.
Talking about landing the Cub on the pickup truck with the platform on top. That must have been one of the most anxiety-inducing things I've ever done as a child, was trying to land that Cub on top of that pickup. So I'll tell you what, I am excited to talk to him.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I'd love to
Greg,
hear some stories.
it's so funny because I can tell this story because it was really cool because like you fight to get guests on your podcast and I send Greg Kuntz an email many years ago and I'm like, hey, I got this podcast. It's called the History of Aviation. The reply email about 20 minutes later was, let's do it.
Awesome.
And you have to love that mentality. And as someone that someone that loves aviation and does the things that he had, some of the stuff he used to do in a Piper Cub, thoroughly impressive, man. It really is. What do you got for us there, Shae? You're muted.
There we go. This is a Piper Cub, as far as I can see. I was trying to find a simulation, but it sounded like we were ending that segment. So I was like, well, let's just put it up there. It's a Piper Cub for you.
Yeah, that is my
Awesome.
dream plane.
I mean, simple. I mean,
It looks like there's just
and
it's like
balsa
a
wood.
one-person plane. Is that right?
No, it's a
No,
two.
it's yeah, forward and back.
Yeah,
got
back,
you.
so.
Got you.
And you typically fly it from the back seat.
Single person row,
Yeah.
2 people.
Mm.
I mean, it's stick and rudder.
Cables, everything's cables, throttle,
Yep.
Oh, you
gauges.
got your just flaps right here. It's simple. I mean, you
Yeah.
can stick a 10-year-old in that airplane and tell them to figure it out, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. He might be on the news later, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually a really cool video since we're into Piper Cubs, which you'll find that me and Will dive back into Piper Cubs quite often.
We probably will, yeah.
There's actually a video of a guy that did so the Piper Cub he was flying, the engine failed, and he literally climbed out, tied a rope around it, and pull started it back up midair.
That's wicked. We need to get him on the podcast.
The fuel gauge is just basically right in front of your face, and it runs on a bulb top, old school, like a boat.
Yeah.
Where you have a bulb that tells you your fuel. So, you think about making a really steep bank, you're going to be looking at your fuel just going, I should probably come out of this bank. So it's just a cool airplane. And I would have said Piper when we did the top 3, when we did the GA plane, when we did the military plane, and when we did the airliner. It was funny to me because I would have picked the Piper Cub for my GA, but I've spent so many hours in a Cessna 172, and what private pilot ain't? You're talking about another aircraft right there that's just a beauty.
Yeah.
And we've actually did episodes on the Cessna 172, but I would love to do another one and get some listener feedback on stuff like that. Because there's a lot of guys out there, man, that learn to fly on those.
Sure. So I've done a few discovery flights myself, and I've gone up in a 172. I've gone up in a Cherokee 6 and a Cherokee 140. So big fan of Piper. Big fan of Cessna as well. But as far as Piper's concerned, I think as I continue my flight training for my private pilot's license, I have a preference for low wing. So Derrick, you being a pilot yourself, do you have a preference, high wing over low wing, and why?
High wing, because that's all I've ever known.
Sure.
I've never flown a low wing.
Okay.
Because yeah, I mean, so let's see. I mean, low wing around here in East Tennessee, you've got the Bonanza. The Bonanza's big around here.
Well, you know where we are too, is Cirrus has their delivery center and their vision center is what they call it.
The Vision.
So you have all the Cirrus SR-20s and 22s flying in. Those are low wing.
Yeah, I've honestly, I've never flown, but I have been in a low wing.
I like it. To me, it feels a little bit more, I don't know if maybe I feel a little bit more like a fighter jet because I'm in more of a cockpit style seating and canopy style seating and being able to look down. But the high wing, of course, for the visibility, being able to see everything around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will, I just want to say that it's absolutely great having you, and looking forward to many more episodes. And we're going to try to, yeah, there's Shay's got the Vision One up. Yeah, that's right over here next door. But if you'll pull that down, Shay, I'm gonna close. So yeah, we definitely appreciate having you, and we're looking forward to a bunch of different episodes. And we're gonna get on track, and we're gonna start putting an episode out every week. And so let me go through everyone. Julien Martinson, where can folks find information for your aviation career coaching?
So people can reach me on my website. That's www.julianmartinson.com, or you can email me directly at info@julianmartinson.com. And I'm also on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions about aviation careers and how to make your dreams come true.
Absolutely. And Shay and Will Dean are number one. This has been really awesome because you're pulling out the thing, the passion in me. You're getting us to talk about it, and I'm just so thrilled to have you on. So looking forward to many more great episode with all you guys.
Thank you,
Right
thank you, thank
on.
you. I really I can't say thank you enough. You'll probably hear me say it 100 more times, but I'm excited.
Well,
Just to
thank
what
you.
you said, I don't think I've ever sat down and had a great conversation with a bunch of guys that love it the way I do. So thank you.
Well
Absolutely, and
said.
that's gonna be a wrap. So for Julien Martinson, Will Diener, Shay Jones producing, I'm Derrick Bueller. Thanks for listening to the History of Aviation Podcast.